Welcome to Money Talks and Sometimes Whispers, the show where we take the economy, one of the most boring topics known to humankind, and make it interesting enough for you to survive your next awkward dinner party. Today, we're talking about the Federal Reserve. You've heard of it. It's that mysterious institution that controls interest rates in the economy. Basically, it's the Hogwarts of finance, and Jerome Powell is the headmaster. Let's unravel this enigma, have a few laughs, and figure out how it's probably why your credit bill is so high. Let's dive in. The chair and his magical powers. So at the top of this economic wizard tower, we have Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell, he's the chair of the Federal Reserve. And fun fact, he's probably more stressed out than you were during finals week in college. Why? Because this guy walks into Congress twice a year, looks a bunch of politicians in the eye and says, "Don't worry guys, I am in complete control of this runaway train." And when he's not doing that, he's having meetings with the Secretary of Treasury, and I imagine they go something like this. "Jerome, we need more money. You do realize money is a monopoly cash, right? Is it though?"
So what does the Federal Reserve do? In simple terms, they're like the economy's babysitter, not the fun kind who lets you stay up and eat junk food all night. More like the strict one who insists you go to bed because you have school tomorrow. Here are their three main jobs. Number 1, setting interest rates. Picture this. You're at a party and things are getting wild, aka the economy is overheating. The Fed comes in, raises rates, and suddenly everyone's like, whoa, let's calm down. Borrowing gets more expensive, people spend less, and inflation cools off. On the flip side, the party's dead, the Fed's lower rates, and suddenly everyone's like, shots for everyone. No. Spending picks up and the economy gets lit. Basically, party planning, but with way more math. Number 2, managing the money supply. Ever feel like your paycheck disappears way too fast? It's partly the Fed's jobs, deciding how much money is sloshing around in the economy. Too much money? Inflation. Too little? Recession. It's a constant tightrope walk where one slip means your grocery bill could skyrocket, or you could lose your job. No pressure, Jerome. Number 3, regulating financial markets. Think of the Fed as a referee at a soccer game. If the banks are the player, then the Fed's job is to blow the whistle when someone cheats. And let's be real. Banks love bending the rules. Without the Fed, Wall Street would probably look like a reality TV show. Scratch that. It already does.
Segment 3, the famous dual mandate. The Fed's dual mandate sounds fancy, but it's just 2 things. 1, make sure people have jobs. 2, make sure a loaf of bread doesn't cost $10 tomorrow. Simple enough, right? Wrong. These 2 goals are basically frenemies. Like, you want more jobs. Cool, but that might make inflation worse. Want lower inflation? Great, but people might lose their jobs. It's like trying to pick a restaurant with your indecisive friends. Do we want pizza or sushi? Can't have both. Right now, the Fed's like, how do we make everyone happy? Spoiler alert, they can't. Someone's always mad, probably you when your car loan rate goes up. Segment 4, tools of the trade. The Fed has 3 main tools. Think of them as their Swiss Army knife of economic trickery. 1, interest rates. Lower rates, borrowing gets cheaper, economy booms, but if they lower it too much, inflation shows up like that one uninvited guy at the party who eats all the snacks. Rates, borrowing goes expensive, inflation drops, but now no one can afford a new house, and suddenly Jerome Powell is the most hated man in America. 2, open market operations. This is where the Fed buys or sells government securities. Buying injects money into the economy. It's like yelling, drinks are on me. Selling pulls money out, basically saying, bars closed, go home. 3, reserve requirements. This one's for the banks. The Fed tells them how much money they need to keep on hand versus lending out. Lower reserves mean more lending. Higher reserves, it's like the Fed saying, don't spend all your allowance in one place.
Remember 2022, inflation hit us like a surprise bill at a fancy restaurant. The Fed raised rates faster than I run when someone yells free pizza. It worked, kind of. Prices started to cool, but people weren't happy about their mortgages going up. And don't even get me started on how some economists reacted. Classical economists were like, yes, expand the monetary base to meet demand. This is textbook. Meanwhile, Keynesians were like, wait, can we just spend a little government money to fix this mess? It's like family dinner where one side says, invest, And the other yells, "Stop spending all our money." And Jerome Powell, he's just sitting there like the middle child, stressed out, trying to keep everyone from flipping the table. But here's the thing. It's messy and it's complicated, but that's the Fed's job. They're not perfect, but they're doing their best to make sure the economy doesn't completely go off the rails. So next time you see a headline about interest rates or inflation, just remember it's all part of a chaotic balancing act. And that's a wrap for this episode of Money Talks and Sometimes Whispers. Thanks for tuning in to learn about the Fed, Jerome Powell, and why your wallet might be crying a little bit louder these days. Remember, the economy's complicated, but laughing at it is free. See you next week.
Me jumping like